This is the November meeting of the trustees of the Village of North Bennington. We've got.
We go home early if I said it like an hour ahead.
No, nice try.
All in favor?
We do have in the audience, we have Kim Hall and Chris Damon, Chief Cross and Norm are here. And by Zoom, we have Matthew and Lori, Cat TV, and I don't know who else. Anyway, we're just going to do a quick revision to the agenda, and that is we're going to move the highway and the fire department up before we do approval of bills. So the first order, let's just quickly do the first order of business, and that is reviewing and approving minutes of our November 10th meeting, and then the special meeting, which was October 10th, and October 20th special meeting was simply to accept the proposal from the from Longview Forest to do the bridge work, and I'll do a quick update on that in a minute. So hopefully everyone had a chance to read all those minutes.
Yeah, I have some
Corrections.
to October 10th.
Okay, please.
One, Robert Nowak is mentioned twice as being present.
Oh, and it's Nowak.
And it's W, not.
Thank you for that.
Now I can't find that. Can't find the minutes.
Would you like to look at my hard copy?
Yeah. There was something else. I'm sorry, I don't have this. I don't think it's important.
Okay. I did,
Can't find it.
Lori and I did correct a couple of minor misspellings on people's names, not minor to the name holder, but at any rate. So any other questions?
I'll make a
Matthew?
motion to accept the minutes of October 10th.
I'll second.
Seconded there. Any,
With corrections.
with the one correction there noted. Matthew, any questions?
Nope.
No?
All good.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's a unanimous, thank you. Then we're looking at October 20th. That was an easy one. I'll happily make a motion to accept those minutes.
Second.
Seconded there. I think we're all in, I don't believe there's any questions there. No? All in, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Okay, let's move right to Norm. The floor is yours, and I've got a few things to make sure that we cover off. If you don't, I'll ask.
Okay, so one of the first things, everybody that travels Harlan Road, probably happy that it was, we got a top coat kind of patch pavement on it. There's a invoice for Fuller Sand and Gravel. You talked about it being salt. That's not it. That's what that is.
Oh, okay.
It's paving that road. At the end of Park Street, we had a contract 2 years ago to get that paved, and it just, a lot of things fell through and COVID, and we finally got that and pushed through, and that's all the end of Park Street's been paved. We
Oh, good.
straightened out that intersection a little bit.
Okay,
We're trying to make that a little bit better. As far as, right now, we're kind of in the winter maintenance mode, starting to pick up leaves where we can. Please keep your leaves out of the drains and gutters. And some people, putting them in the street. If they're not picked up within a day or two, we'll certainly move them back onto your grass without a problem. We want to be as, accommodating as we can, but we have our mission to deal with too. The boneyard is open this week and next week, so if anybody wants to drop leaves off, they can. There's a big pile there. Please put it there. That's not garbage, it's not sticks, it's leaves, debris. So that's about it there. We finished up the paperwork on our Overley Road grant. It was sent to the state. They had a couple questions today. It was all set and they approved it. I'll remain from saying exactly where we're gonna land, but we come out of that very favorable thanks to a lot of hard
A lot
work.
of hard work.
Okay, so I mean, we did some street sweeping once. You asked me a couple of questions.
Can you update on the depot roof and the painting and that work?
Unfortunately, I can't. I met with the contractor today, so we can update. So the depot has been, the top clock tower has been straight, caulked, and a lot of it has been painted. Some of it is just painted on some really rotten wood that has to be replaced just to Band-Aid it up. There is 11 little roofs on the roof, plus the 1 foot roof that goes all the way around. They're in poor repair. Had been mentioned years ago by George Elwell. You know, we just, you know, a little bit of kicking the can. You know, we get one roof, the main roof was bad, so we replaced that. And we got this, the metal roof sealed. So now we need to go back to them, because what's happening is that rubber is just rotting. There's no drip edge, how they were constructed, and it's just rotting the woodwork right out the side. We do have a bunch of pictures and some samples, some things that we will have soon. You know, deer season in Vermont kind of slows some people down. But it is coming. You should hopefully we'll have an email to the trustees before the next month's meeting.
Okay.
We'll be able to look at it, and then we will, I would suggest that we should pick a subcommittee out of the trustees and have, so, you know, we can stay on that number, but we can still have meetings without doing it legally, you know, and move forward in getting this building patched up. We were a little backwards this year where we got to the painting before the woodwork, but we kind of had to get up there, and then the painter was here, you know. And we've got a schedule with Jim Goodernolt, who does the other painting, so he'll be back next year to do, you know, a pile of work and move on.
And I have contacted Preservation Trust to see what they might have for historic preservation grants to help with that too. People that was last week, and people that I needed to talk to were not available, but the village is on their radar. So hopefully can get answers to that too. And of course, we need to have a report to tell them anyway, so.
Yes, absolutely.
They can't give us any answer without us providing them information first. But the seed is there.
That's right. Doxy Roofing has done the last 2 roof repairs in this building, was here, and they did emergency repairs on those little dormers to try to do a stop loss, if you say. You know what I mean? It's not gonna make anything better, but it's gonna allow some water to go somewhere else when we have, you know, winter, and maybe some of that stuff to dry out, but it's really not the case. And, you know, there's a lot of fancy woodwork in this building.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a cheap process,
Yeah.
you know, we need to settle all those dormer roofs. That's probably one of the next biggest things to do. And, you know, I don't want to stop our painting program, because it's so hard to get this building and to get anybody to show up for any length of time. So again, I think we're in a good spot. Me and Mary have met with them before, and we talked about, you know, like just a week a year.
Yeah.
Just paint something and then
And
just
you
keep
need
moving.
somebody that knows how to do a historic building.
Yes, and, you know, with lifts and stuff. I mean, it's a big undertaking. So there we are with that. What else you got?
The other things are just easy, and then we'll get to the 2 bigger things. The vegetation control at the Prospect and Sage Street bridges, that is happening on November 20th. So if any trustee would like to put that on their calendar and meet up with Jeff Gray, tree warden, on November 20th, everybody can connect with Alex and his crew on that. That should be kind of nice to get
Do you
that
have a
done.
time for that?
I don't have a time, he will, but if you do not have Jeff Gray's contact, let me know. We'll send that general email out and everybody can coordinate if you're interested in doing that. My suspicion is that they'll be down here in the morning.
Perfect.
That's all I know about that one. So that is happening. Then, Norm, you and I met with BCRC on the traffic calming, project, and that RFP was sent to all the trustees, so you have that
Yes.
in front of you. I would indicated in that email that, I would look for a motion to proceed with this engineering study for that, but Norm, if you want to just do a update.
No, I think, we met there, we talked about several different options, and, as we were there, one of the big things is people come up Water Street and they're going up West Street, they turn and they're well in, where cars park on the other side of the road. So one of the solutions is because we have to maintain truck traffic up there. We got school, there's deliveries, there's UCS, there's everything. But at the end of that, make a almost a mountable curve, kind of like we have in the center of town. So it is a visual deterrent, but you can navigate over it very easily without any problem. It can be maintained, taking the alignment on the sidewalk and actually moving it so it's straighter. And then we can bring the stop bar probably another, at least 10 feet forward, because everybody's, creeping out way over the sidewalk to be able to do that. So it's almost straightening out that intersection. And keeping, still having it big enough so trucks can navigate around.
And then at the same time, installing a speed table, not a bump, but a speed table on Water Street as you come into North Bennington where the speed limit changes.
Yes.
And the third thing, have three things going on at once, and then a permanent flashing speed sign that does that.
Okay, so that bulb out's on the southwest corner. That used to be a sharper corner.
Yes,
This got done, now we're
Yes.
pushing it out into the West Street a little bit.
yes, and Norm,
To get
that curve on
to
the,
be
that curve on the
respectful.
sidewalk.
Right, the sidewalk will pretty much stay where it is.
Yeah.
It would just be a mountable curve,
Yeah.
so it really won't be
Okay.
as intrusive, and again,
Right.
any truck that's going out to deliver
Yeah.
deliveries to
Okay.
all those, entities up there that need it, it'll keep it. And again, it's one idea we get to for the engineering study. They may come up with a couple different other ideas.
But the sidewalk, instead of it angling up, it's gonna be more straight.
That's correct.
And then, so that means people coming up Water Street to make that left up the hill actually have to go to the intersection. You can't start
they can't
turning
cut the
before you get to that corner.
Right.
And likewise, anyone coming down West Street, you cannot stop at that stop mark and
Right.
see traffic on your left. You can see it on your right, you
Right.
can't see it on your left. So you actually
This will
have to drive
give
into
you
the crosswalk.
a slight alignment.
Right.
I can tell you that, I drive down that every morning.
And you have to drive
You have to
over the
go-
crosswalk,
You have to be,
You
almost
have to
fully
be-
past the
Yes.
crosswalk
yes.
to see the cars coming down the hill.
And so we did discuss that this would kind of be a test, if you will. I mean, solving a problem that's been discussed for
Right.
quite a number of years. And then there are before traffic studies and there would be after traffic studies done just. And then you can take this, learn from it, from the engineering recommendations as well, then look at what you do to the other entry points into the village to see what we can do to really set off that you're coming into a village, and hopefully address a
So,
number of other.
Who wrote up this
this RFP. This was, Mark Andrews at BCRC.
Yeah, it looks great.
And
Did a
then
great
Norm and
job.
I, yes, he did, and then Norm and I just made
No,
some
I mean,
minor
the
tweaks.
ideas are good,
Yes,
I think, and they're, the least obtrusive ideas that have been
Mhm.
proposed, and I
Mhm.
think straightening that intersection out as much as possible will be really helpful.
Yeah.
So if they did a mountable curb there, they would back up to where it would say no parking here because if you come out further with that curb, because if somebody parks, that's the
Right.
other piece of that puzzle too, is when you're coming down that hill, if there's those last
Yes.
couple of cars, you can get an issue there too.
I would say, let's just use the grassy area that we mow the little park.
Yeah.
Probably from where that park starts to the corner, there'd be no more parking.
Right, which is kind of where it makes the most sense, because like I say, I come down that almost every day, and if there's one or two cars there, not only are you to the sidewalk, but then you're even
You're
out and around because
Right,
you got a car
again,
here.
it's, the mountable curb will deter people from doing that. We also, people are aware of it, nobody will pay attention to it for a little while, but, there is going to be, if the weather allows us, there's gonna be no parking on, the gray building that used to be Tim Smith's Architects, coming down just past the firehouse.
Right.
We've had a humongous problem there with people parking on that little spot, right there at the stop sign.
Right.
You know, we really have to deal with leaves and getting drains clean, you know, before that becomes the move up on the priority, but, you know, next week's supposed to be 50 degrees, we're gonna get the stencils out, and Kyle's gonna paint no parking on there.
good.
Yeah, that makes
Good.
sense.
Yeah, I
You
think
know, hopefully,
that's good.
you know, and people will pay attention to it. You know.
All right. Still
Norm,
need enforcement.
who decides on, like, there's gonna be a permanent, speed, radar unit that will alert drivers to how fast
Right,
they're
it's
going?
proposed, right?
Proposed.
Well,
This is all-
yeah, that's in the proposal.
Yes, yes.
We gotta be politically correct in our words, it's proposed.
Right.
Your question is, who determines where that goes?
No, who determines what kind to get? Because I was telling the board, I saw one in North Carolina that, when you were going over the limit, a red and blue light flashed under your speed, how fast you were going. And I thought that, and I've seen them all over, you know, Manchester has a naughty and nice one. I thought that was very effective. First time I've ever seen it.
Right, as a matter of fact, and that's good, and they are effective, but they're illegal. Okay, because if somebody comes down, like, you could give somebody a stroke, you know what I mean, like those cartoons that flash things,
Epilepsy.
yeah, naughty or nice, it's not supposed to say, it's supposed to, it can turn green or red, that's it, it's not, you know.
Oh,
it's not
okay,
supposed to be-
all right, so that's not allowed, okay, that's fine.
Well, again, people do it all the time. You know,
Again, we'll get the engineering consultants to vet all of the options, and maybe they come up with some that we hadn't thought of.
Right, yeah. No, I just thought if Norm is the one who picks the hardware,
It usually is,
Yeah.
usually.
then,
Usually it's-
then I wanted him to know about this
We
one.
look at it, and, you know, we talk about it, you know, and then we ended up picking, the company that we have bought a radar trailer from and those other stoplights, they seem to, you know, have decent equipment. You know, our radar trailer people have said this summer, well, you know, most of that, when you get the volume of traffic and you don't get no sun for the day, it kills it, and it's gonna take 2 days to charge back up.
Right,
You know, it's a solar system.
yeah.
But like our other lights, you know, they use them all the time, they work, you know, so they're decent products.
So
Good.
what's a speed table?
Speed table is almost like a stationary, I wanna say a speed bump,
It's like a
which I
wide,
really don't,
it's a like a wide speed bump.
It's a
yes.
wide. speed
it's long.
So it
Yes,
goes up
it's the
long.
length of your
and
car,
then-
and it's got a
It's
rounded,
not a jolt, it's
No.
just.
it's like,
Oh, it'll jolt you if you hit it. Let me tell you what, the first time I saw one of
Now-
those things.
now here's the other thing that we were alerted to. It's got a little rounded edge on each side,
Yeah.
so, you know, you're not gonna blow out tires, but it does create noise as cars go over it. So the downside of this is that if this were in front of someone's house, they may not like it because they're gonna hear every time somebody's going over it or whatever the thing it does. But few solutions are perfect in every way, and this can be.
We've been told there's one in Brattleboro. And
Yes,
they're working at, we're gonna go look at it, we're gonna talk to the people who maintain
Yes.
the roads.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we can talk to a neighbor, right, we're not, that's probably the, and I'll speak for myself, for myself, that's probably one of the last pieces of that puzzle to put a fixture in the road, right? You know, now this might be the greatest thing if it's there in the summer and it removes in the winter, but they say they stay there all the time. So, you know, we're gonna talk to another town, see how they've done it. I mean, it's, you know.
Right,
Yeah,
because your
when the
plow is
plow
gonna
comes
go.
up, does it,
That's right, it has to hit, you know, what I
Yes.
mean, you know, so,
they say they're rounded so that it.
right, you're supposed to be able to take it.
And the
Yeah.
state approves of these on a state highway.
This is what the engineering.
We don't know where it
to
is.
look at.
I don't know where it is,
We
if
don't,
it's on a
yes.
town road or if it's on a state road. Now, if we put it on Water Street, we will absolutely need the state approval to put it there.
Yeah.
Because that is a class 2 road.
Yes.
You know, but, so again, this is a, you know, crawl, walk, run, you know, we're walking now. We've already, we've passed crawling, we're moving on to make it.
And the engineering consultant will answer those questions.
Right. So this is for the engineering.
This
work.
is only for engineering work.
Okay.
This is only.
So
for
do you need a motion?
Yes, please.
I move that we go ahead with the request for proposal for an engineering design services for the Water Street, West Street intersection. Should we call it that?
Yes, you can. Seconded by Ray. Any other, Matthew, did you have any questions? Listening patiently.
No, it sounds like a good proposal. I like it.
Okay, good. Then let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That was unanimous. Excellent. All right, now Norm, hold on, my papers are getting out of order. This was 3, this was 3A. Okay, let's see what else. Your sale of equipment and your equipment needs.
Yeah.
Did you want to address that?
I do, not completely, because we're not, I'm really close, but not.
Okay.
So, here's the deal, everybody knows that we dabble in surplus equipment, we get stuff in, we move stuff out, we play the game. We have, this was a marathon, not a sprint, but we just crossed the marathon finish line. Not to bore you with details, but we just made $125,000 last week in the government surplus program. Made. Okay. And again, that plan was always to get that and then buy a brand new excavator that fits us. And again, making that, our excavator is now gone. Okay, that's one of the things we sold. So I have some proposals for a couple wheeled excavators and a couple tracked excavators. There is pros and cons to both. I would encourage you, the board members, to come find me tomorrow or Thursday, and I can talk about them more at length than probably we need to here. There's pros and cons to both. The wheels are much more expensive. But you don't need a trailer. We constantly borrow a trailer from somebody. We have enough money to be able to buy a really nice track machine and buy a trailer and have it ourselves to move around. The tracks are much more stable. Like I said, there's pluses, there's pros and cons to both. So that's kind of where we're at. We're in the neighborhood, you know, certainly between that and then how well we did on our grant this year, our new equipment. I don't want, we're waiting for one more piece to come in, but I think our loan will be hardly anything, and this will be no loan at all.
So will it be, will you have sufficient time to make the decision and get anything signed or agreements held to if this gets done at the December meeting?
No, it has to be
Do
done.
you need
We
to,
need it before December.
you'll need it
I-
before that, okay?
I'm gonna be working a little bit on this tomorrow, because I'm gonna go back to the wheel guys and
Okay.
ask them to bid a track machine. So we
Okay.
can, so we're all, they at least have a fair chance to be, bidding. And I would really, again, I would love if we could have a subset committee and, like we've done with the trucks before, we just have a bid opening and do that the week of Thanksgiving. Right now, most of the dealers are giving a 5-year warranty if they're bought before the end of the year.
Well, if you can get all of this together, we can call a special meeting.
Yes.
I mean,
I'll have all of
Yeah,
it together
yeah.
the week of Thanksgiving.
okay, then we can, yes.
My question is, so no matter what decision is made on this, we're within a budget of a fund that you just put money into?
Yeah, there's a couple of them that are on the outside, but they'll be covered with the other job very easily.
Okay.
But yes, there's not, I'm not asking to go into a sinking fund or nothing.
Okay.
And there's documents in here where absolutely, I could put a flame maker on the side of the machine with the money that's in here.
Well, I'm just wondering if we can make a decision tonight that allows him to, no, we can't.
I prefer not, because I think, I don't know, I mean, look, I'm only one voice, you guys can decide otherwise. But I think I would prefer to know what's being looked at and what's the pros and cons and why the decision is made on one versus the other. And then know that we've got cash in hand, and if not, then what is the loan gonna have to be?
What is your preference versus track versus wheel?
I go both ways.
You don't know? Okay.
It's, there's big pros and cons to both.
Okay.
Wheel excavators are very tippy.
Hmm.
You put the outriggers down and they're fine. They move, you don't need any, you don't need another trailer. But they move, you can't dig out sidewalks and, like when we want to eventually do the Church Street sidewalk, right? We gotta do the upper, Bank Street sidewalk, you're in the grass, you can't do that with a wheel machine, you get stuck all the time. So we gotta go, work out a deal with somebody, give somebody that uses their grader, they give us their excavator. But you know what? So I would probably go buy the tractors.
Yeah.
And be done with it. End up with a trailer, which we need for other things, and have.
Well,
be
is that-
self-sufficient.
Is it your intention to get the trailer regardless this year?
And I think the trailer was only if we got the track.
Well, it
The
sounds like,
trailer's always on the radar screen, I've been looking for one forever, trying to get one off of government surplus, but there's not really a decent one. I mean, I'm still gonna look, believe me, you know what I mean, but, yeah, they would come as together, they would come from two different entities.
okay,
There's a couple of used ones right now that are in pretty decent shape that we would probably buy. But the machine, we get a 5-year warranty, 2,000 hours, we've never hit 2,000 hours in 5 years. It just would be a good investment.
Well-
That's something that the villas have never had. We
Yeah.
got it now because we work hard in our surplus program, make
Yeah.
smart moves.
yeah.
Well, then unless others think otherwise, I think I prefer to have Norm get all his information, bring it back to us, and we can. Now, is this something that is going to need to go to bid, or is it, there's so few people that do this that you'll just?
No, I have,
be able to
they
get-
pretty much have the bids right here.
You do,
From-
okay.
from the ones, and I'm gonna
You
go
got,
back to the couple people that we deal with all the time.
okay,
And probably take the wheel one out of the equation and have bid tracks so we're all,
Well-
so they're all on the same page.
Tara, what do you think if we do a motion to permit Norm to solicit the bids, and then we have a special meeting for the opening?
I mean,
Can't,
what? I can't keep them?
no, you can't talk.
Oh, no, I won't.
I mean, as far as who we're soliciting to is anybody that has something that's gonna fit in our,
Well,
You know,
I mean,
so there's
actually,
Cat,
that
there's
doesn't make
John
sense.
Deere.
You already are doing it.
So,
Continuity,
so
yeah.
he has the
Yeah, sounds
majority
like
of the
he's
bids,
doing
with the
it.
exception of a wheeled one that he's gonna ask them to
You
get
swap two
contracted.
out basically, right?
Well,
Yeah,
all the players that sell.
Well, then
all that
just-
equipment.
Continue with getting your information and we can do a quick special meeting for that purpose to approve which.
I know that Monday,
Is
Tuesday,
your
Wednesday, I'll
preference?
let you know tomorrow. I can't tell you today, but then they have, doctor's appointment,
Yeah.
VA, but we have.
Okay. Well, I can't do anything for the next week anyway, so,
Well, I won't be here next week, the week of Thanksgiving.
well, whatever we have to work out, we work out. And if we want to take a quick look at a calendar right now, if Monday, November 20th works for you,
I think Monday's good.
okay. So let's tentatively say Monday, November 20th, that's when Longview Forest comes to start their project anyway. So tentatively, we will put that out to the public as a warrant special meeting, but tentatively then, okay.
What time?
What time there?
9 AM?
Well, I'd like to put a couple of options out to trustees so
Okay.
everybody can look at their calendars and not have to make that decision right here, right now. But we can get that done in the next couple of days. Okay, anything else, Norm? Okay,
On the Harlan Road repaving,
Yes.
was that, I mean, it came out perfectly to me. Was that just one coat or was that
No, they shimmed it and topped it because it was so out of place, but.
yeah, it was in
You
rough
know, let's just say that's lipstick on the cow, right? That's just a Band-Aid. You know, but that road was so far bad,
Well, it
you
was-
know, that's gonna get us 4 or 5 years, figure out what's going on.
Well, they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they do.
So it's two coats.
Yes, there was 2 coats,
Right,
because it just, there's so much wheel traffic. You can't figure out how you're gonna, you know, put a decent top and stay without doing that.
Okay.
You know, and, you know, our Lafayette is still on to fix the guardrail. We submitted that, it's been approved by the insurance company, so we're gonna be paid for that.
okay.
The car that smashed through it. They say they're gonna be here before the ground freezes.
Okay,
Any update on the fountain?
I'm still waiting on contractors.
great.
Oh, yeah, it won't be, but, you know, just getting a plumber to stay, you know. I talked to, Jimmy today about the thermostat.
Mhm.
You know, it won't be this week, but hopefully, he thinks they have one that will send, you know, through an app.
Yep.
And then you can get rid of your phone line.
Perfect.
So he thinks that there is such a thing out there.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions for Norm? Thank you.
Thanks.
Fire department. Ray, do you want to start off, or did you have anything you would like to report before Ray talks about the chimney? Or
You know, October was great, the school, we did the fire prevention for the kids in the.
Yay.
Trick or treat went over really
Yeah.
great, and the costume party, parade there went very well. Then the furnace is running and back up.
So, Ray, why don't you talk about your update on the chimney, and then I will update you on the second part of the 3-part grant for building efficiency after you.
Okay, well, obviously the boiler got maintained, the low water cutoff, hardware put in and installed in a new 9-inch exhaust pipe connected to the existing chimney hole. And also we discovered that I'd been told otherwise, but by the wrong person, obviously, that on the upstairs, the overhead heating units were not functional, but they function just fine if you turn the fans off.
Oh,
Oh, well, that's
There's a
good.
switch for that, and there's a switch, another switch that's for, the electrical discharge air cleaners that are up there. At any rate, so I had asked, I had made an appointment with, Darren Sharp, who's chimney sweep and, grew up in North Bennington, though he now lives in Shaftesbury. Well, he always lived in Shaftesbury, District One, but now he lives further in Shaftesbury. He came and, I met him on Friday afternoon. He and his helper erected a ladder, and, they checked out that chimney. They agreed that the chimney that's been used for exhaust is in kind of rough shape. However, because there's, from where the smoke pipe enters or encounters the chimney side to the actual chimney, that front flue, it's not a connection, it goes through a little channel. So for that reason, a metallized pipe will not work in that chimney flue. However, the other flue, he said, looks fine. Why not use it? There's an existing hole, but it's not large enough for the 9-inch flue. So, that would have to be enlarged for the 9-inch flue that we have, 9-inch smoke pipe that we have. So he recommended I talk to Matt Surdom about that, and I did talk to him, and, he will come look at it when there's a wet day, you can't be working outside. Maybe that's tomorrow, I'm not sure.
Thursday.
Thursday. And, he said that wouldn't be too bad a deal to do. Darren Sharp said that the best thing possible for that chimney is to have a cover on it. And, the cover will cost us $475. And I agree with him, and that would close off the one and allow smoke to go up through the back chimney, or I guess is the back chimney, flue. And, once the cap's in place, it'll keep water from getting in there. Therefore, there won't be generation of sulfuric acid from the soot deposit, and the chimney will last a long time from his perspective. There are already, as I said, there are 2 holes actually. One is blocked off, but one's open with some insulation stuff in it. So the mason could enlarge that, and we could connect to it, and with the cap, we should be okay.
that seems reasonable.
Yes.
We had authorized $190 for the inspection, but, he didn't charge, he's not charging us a fee for his inspection.
Oh.
Because he didn't really have to do much more
Yeah.
investigation. Once he found out that the chimney was offset from the actual entrance of the smoke pipe. And, so I would like to have the authority to tell Darren to order the cap, and, that I think we'll just, see if we can get the, Matt has to find a thimble, a 10-inch thimble, and he said that's not the standard size, so we might have one. Might be able to find one for us. And I'd like to talk with Darren, but I think possibly the best procedure is to get the opening enlarged and the thimble in place and put the piping, piping in, and then put the cap on.
Well, I thank you for taking the lead on all of this and
Indeed.
following up with that. And would happily make a motion to approve Ray to continue with the project and any reasonable expense associated.
Second.
Seconded,
I have
okay.
a quick question.
Yes,
It sounds like there was a spare flue that they discovered. That
No,
wasn't being
there were
used.
always two flues.
Right, but
And
one
then
was not never
The
used.
back one, no, apparently it was used at one time,
Oh,
but it's not been used for a long time, I suppose. Because you would think that if it were in use for a long period of time, it would have developed the same problems as the front one.
right.
But for some reason, it was, those entries into that flue were abandoned. I don't know why, because from what they saw, they didn't see any issues with that flue.
Wow,
So,
I think that's a stroke of good luck.
mhm,
well, it's a stroke of, well, it's there because it was built into it in 1960 or whenever that firehouse was built. I guess they thought ahead, they might want to change your location or something. Anyway.
So motion on the table.
yeah, yes, any other questions? Motion was made and seconded, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, thank you, Ray. Thank you, Chief Cross. So,
I would say that I may ask him about just cleaning that front
Yeah.
flue before he cover it up.
whatever is
Because he says
reasonable.
there's some debris at the bottom,
Yeah.
so, but that would have to be done after the
Yeah.
smoke pipes move
I
out of the
think
way.
whatever is reasonable and whatever the experts say needs to be is the way to go. So the next thing I wanted to let you know is, go ahead.
One other thing, we left the settings on the thermostats at 57 degrees, 58 degrees. And that's what Mark Niles felt was the best setting. Also, he had to replace the battery in the thermostat. And I think there's a thermostat on the second floor and one in the truck bay and one in the office. So those batteries need to be checked periodically. I guess they're working now, but once a year at least.
Are they regular batteries or are they special things?
No, I think they're, you'd have to check what they are.
Oh.
He didn't tell me.
You would-
I'll look
You
at
can-
it, so probably 12 won't matter, the little
Yeah,
two prong,
Okay.
half of them.
Well, yeah, I think that's 9 volt, but yeah.
yeah, okay, I didn't know if it was some special.
I
thing
didn't
that
see
had
the
to-
battery
Okay.
put in there, so.
All right, well,
I just
that,
didn't notice.
yeah, for want of a battery, huh?
Yes.
I looked at that, the upstairs is at 57 right now,
Right.
and the truck room is up in, I think 62, I think is what I saw the other day when I was in.
I think he set it at 58 at the boiler, so it may be warmer in there because you've got three fans that are blowing it higher. But I'm not sure why that would be, because that's what he talked about. And that determined the oil burner nozzle in order to put out enough
Mhm.
steady heat to maintain those temperatures. It's cold.
Speaking of oil, did we go with just
West.
oil on demand or did we do?
Budget.
We did a budget plan,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
I seem to think that was back in my head somewhere.
Yes, we
Okay,
And
good.
we have an oil delivery on.
Yeah, okay, good. Anything else on your report? Thank you so
No,
much for that
sorry,
comprehensive
be
report.
disconnected.
No, excellent. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
Well, let me
Mary
just
has to
tell
talk
you
about-
that, the second part of the three-part municipal energy efficiency grants, we did get the second part of that. The second part is to have a commercial energy audit done of our buildings. So that is scheduled for November 16th, which is next Thursday. The garage is going to be done at 1:00 in the afternoon, and the fire department and the depot are both scheduled for 11:00. If anybody, I have a kindergarten class that day, so I'm not available. But somebody, I have 2 copies of this. I can give you one if you'd like, because somebody is gonna have to be,
What is this again? Sorry.
this is to do the energy audit. Now, Bill
Okay.
Christian is going to be at the 2 that he can get to, but he can't be the 2 at 11 o'clock. So I've asked him to go to the garage at 1 o'clock, the fire department at 11, and I'll ask Norm to come over here to the depot at 11, unless somebody else needs to, because the inspectors, the audit people need to have access to all the things that they need to have access to.
Right.
So what
I
date
think
is
Norm
that?
just said he's gone next week. The 16th is next week.
Well, he didn't, when I sent it to him,
Oh,
he
okay, so
didn't
maybe
say
it's only part
anything.
of
I
next
think
week.
it was a doctor's appointment early in the week.
Okay,
I can give that to
so,
him.
yes, so if
It's
one
the
of you,
16th?
11/16.
yes, and I can make another
At
copy,
11 a.m.
yes. And I, actually, you
I
both
could,
can have my
I could do the
copies.
depot if
Okay,
you want.
okay, then what I
So
also,
they have a crew that does the firehouse and another crew that comes here,
Yes.
obviously.
yes,
Okay.
okay. I need to get, well, then I will give the folks who's doing this your cell phone number. They
Okay.
needed references. So
Okay.
for the fire station, they have Mr. Christian's number. And Bill has been in the firehouse and has advised when last year, when there were some heat problems going on, he was the one that advised to get the heat pump to separate the domestic hot water from the other hot water, from the boiler hot water. He is an energy expert. That's what he does for business. So we're
So what day-
fortunate to have
What day of
him
the
here.
week is that?
It's a Thursday.
Thursday?
Now, Ray, I don't know, since you've been so intimately involved in the fire station, whether you would like to, or you're able to do that as well and meet Bill
Bill's
there.
gonna do the fire station as well?
Bill is gonna be there for the fire station at 11 and the garage at 1.
Okay.
But if you would like to take this or just write it down, I did bring an extra copy.
Okay. Well, I'd probably like to be here with Bill for the firehouse.
That would be the best, I think.
Just because I'll learn something.
Well, and you've been so involved in it before, but we'll
Right.
probably need someone from your staff as well to be there, if not yourself. Okay.
Now, I have a key to this room in the upstairs.
Yes,
I don't know, I don't even know if this place has a basement.
yes, it does. It's through that door.
Oh,
I can
okay.
show you that later on.
So, as long as I can get in here, they'll have access to everything.
Yes,
they
there was
need.
the most amazing spider down there the last time I looked.
Really?
I mean, the thing, it was giant. It was really
It's
incredible.
from the 1800s.
I don't know. It was pretty neat though. But at any rate,
That's
So-
Avenue.
I will circle around with everybody else because I just want to, that's exciting. And once that is done, then we are in line for
Yeah, it's another.
the
piece.
third grant, which is up to $500,000 once you pick one of these projects to do. And that's what Bill Christian will help us work through, all the results of all of this to see what we're going to do. So that is all I had to report on that, but I'm happy that, and like I say, here's another copy of the schedule if you would like to have that.
So I could take one?
You
Yeah,
can have
okay,
that
great.
one.
Okay.
You can have that one. Anything else that we need to know or you need
Just
to?
talking to Doug, there. We're in the process right now to start for next year, the gear,
Good,
the 4 sets of gear there. that-
Good, yes.
Requested, so, once I get some bids in and stuff like that, then I can
perfect.
talk and
Yes.
deliver a little more about it.
Later on in our meeting, have sent out a proposed schedule to do a series of budget planning meetings. And if that comes to fruition, if the rest of the board agrees, then we will work a special meeting or a separate meeting to make sure that we get everybody's input and everybody's data in time. Thank you. Of course, you're welcome to stay, but
3:30 comes too early.
I totally get that. Okay, so let's go back then up and do the warrant and approving the payment of bills. And please take this in any order you wish.
All right, I'm just gonna go down my list. So
Yeah.
first one that I have is payroll. So payroll, the November warrant, approving from October. Nothing out of the ordinary at all. It was regular 2 pay periods, 1 Aflac. So the total for the month was $14,117.04.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next I'll do these, I'll do these in order. So late October, so Lori and I did a late warrant in October, mainly because there was a couple that are time sensitive, namely the Blue Cross Blue Shield and the M&T Bank. So those were the 2 priority ones. And at that point, we just paid all of anything else that had come in. So it was a small late warrant, $7,232.13. There's nothing out of the ordinary on there, but if anybody has any questions, certainly let me know.
Was the Hewlett Trucking bringing Norm's surplus equipment?
That was one of them, yes,
The one,
there's 2.
okay.
Yep, Norm wanted to make sure, so there's Hewlett, that was a late October, and then when we get to the November, there's another one for right around the same amount, so yes, there was, the trucking
Okay.
was for Norm's.
Okay. And I think one of these was the check that was,
I think one of them-
these was the check
correct,
that you got.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that's the one that's coming in November.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, because that was $860, I think the check was $850.
Okay,
Yep, so late October warrant, unless there's any other questions, was $7,232.13.
And the West Oil.
That's our budget for October.
That's the budget.
the budget.
Yep, we paid 10,
Amount.
yep,
Okay.
10 payments, so that's and then you'll see on the November warrant, we just didn't have it on the 1st October, so we paid it on the late October. But it is on the November, so that's our normal monthly.
Okay.
I move to approve. Make a motion.
Second?
Questions? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, I will go with the regular November warrant, just labeled November warrant. This one is a large warrant, and I'll go over a few of these. Have already been talked about, but I'll go over it. So the total is $374,520.15. The largest single line item is the Bank of Bennington, which is the repayment of the tax anticipation loan. That would be due December 1st, so I put it on this warrant so that it was paid and we didn't have to do it as a late payment,
Oh,
late
good.
warrant.
Okay,
So that was $301.9076. Fuller Sand and Gravel, Norm already talked about, that was for the paving. And then we had a series in November, we have a series of payments to approved entities.
yes,
McCullough Library, let's see, Town of Shaftesbury, which is for cemetery,
cemetery.
Vermont
Yeah.
Art Exchange, Sunrise. So there's a series of those on there that are paid in November on our schedule. Those are the main, ones that don't come in
What
often.
is the dollar on V-Trans?
Is that
It's
the
one
total?
of the, I believe, Lori, is that the railroad one, the $1 from the,
No,
what was the $1, Lori? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's a lease. So it's a lease for the station.
Lease for
No.
the station.
that doesn't make sense.
Well, we've done it for,
No, because,
I'll grab it.
yeah, we make those payments and there are a couple of them, both a couple $1,000s a piece.
We'll check. It came as a receipt from the state.
Okay,
It was
well, I believe you, but I do know that we do have a payment that we make for the 2 leases, and it's, both of them are a couple $1,000s, because we budget for them, we budget that separately. I'm not saying it's not, that there's not something else that's $1 and maybe it was late or something, but
Lori's looking for it.
yeah,
I have detail too.
I didn't even look at the detail.
Pretty sure we still just paid $1 for the.
No,
It says
we don't.
lease annual.
Okay, well, then there's something else, because we also pay a few $1,000s for 2 leases. It comes in one thing. It's got the little tear-off slip. That's the one that sometimes goes to the wrong place if you don't send it to the right
Is
thing.
that for the building, the adjacent building that we're still?
Okay, it says it is for the railroad lease agreement. It's
Oh,
$1.
okay, but there is another one then, that's fine, but there is another bill that we pay. And
Yeah,
it is,
the other bill is $1,790, $1,790.
okay,
Paid that on December 21st, and that is the air lease. This is the railroad lease, which is $1, and the
Nope.
air lease is $1,790.
okay, well then we'll have to look at the other older invoices, because there's 2 things that come on the same invoice. There's 2 leases and they don't necessarily say what they are, but each payment is over $1,000.
Well, I've got them all 3 of them on here. So the first
Okay.
one is air lease 5166 for $1,701. The next one is air lease 5167 for $1,790.
That's what I'm talking about, okay.
And this is for the railroad lease for $1. That's how it's listed on here.
Okay,
I think the other 2 leases are for the properties, the building, down the street. And
there's one for that one.
but then the parking lot that used to be a building, the coal sheds.
At some point, we have to find, and it might be upstairs, let me just table that whole discussion. Let's just pay this, I'll get to the other discussion later, because I'm getting us off track.
Okay. Any other questions on the November warrant?
I would make a motion. Oh, did you want to make it?
Go ahead, I'll second.
Okay. For the November warrant, $374,520.15.
I'll second.
Seeing no other questions, hearing no other, Ray has a question?
No.
No, okay,
Poised to put my hand.
okay, calling the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, okay, good,
Okay,
that's
there's
done.
that one. And I just separated, typically the fire department sends their payment for officers and drill pay in December. Chief Cross actually, I wish he was here for this, but actually was very organized, had everything to Lori prior to the November meeting, which was greatly appreciated. So I broke it out separately just because of the sheer number, to keep the 2 papers kind of more in line. So this is just fire. There's a couple reimbursements on there, which is on the detail warrant, but the majority of this is for the drill pay and the officer pay. So this warrant is for $3,500, which is within the budget.
Excellent. Any
All right, I'll make a
questions?
motion to leave that.
Okay, motion by Ray,
Second.
seconded by here.
Over
Sorry
here
about
by Tara.
Oh, right there, sorry about that, oh my gosh. All right, seeing no questions, seeing no questions or concerns, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Do you
thank
want me
you,
to just
that's
go right
okay.
into mine?
Please do.
Okay. So number 1 on my agenda is taxes. I'm swamped right now. Last week, this week, and next week, busiest 3 weeks for me. Just for anybody listening, taxes are due on Friday. The next set of hours will be on Friday. I will be here from 12 to 1 and then again from 5 to 7 to collect taxes. If anybody has any questions, email and phone number are both listed on the website and on your tax bills. So those are well underway. Collection has been going good, which is again why we were able to go ahead and go forward with the payment of the tax anticipation note prior to the actual tax due date. We're in fine shape with that. Just as an FYI, this will show up on the November warrant, or on the December warrant, because it just happened. I did do an advance of $200,000 to the school district for a portion of their taxes so that they could pay their warrant that was coming forward. And again, collection is well over the $200,000 for school taxes. So just putting that out there so that everybody knows where that was. We have Steve Lennox entering the waiting room.
Okay.
So Norm mentioned we've submitted the grant, so that's actually, Norm got the call today that we're finally approved. So once we have the final numbers, we'll talk about that probably next month. Comcast and Fidium, we are pretty much going to be able to wrap this thing up hopefully by the end of November. I spoke to Fidium yesterday. I don't know what day it is anymore. Yesterday. We are probably just going to go ahead and eliminate the phone here because what Norm was talking about with the thermostat. Because in reality, right now, the only thing that phone is being used for here at the depot is to monitor the heating. So if we can switch out the thermostat to the app-based one, we don't have a need. The problem with switching to Fidium for that is there would be a minimum of $160 install fee, and then you have your monthly charge. If we have to wait a month to pay an extra month of Comcast, it's worth it to just do that instead of paying, because they have to rewire, they can't use the same wire. So I will start to cancel Comcast as we move forward. So hopefully by the December meeting, we'll be down to just the one Comcast, which will be at the depot, at the garage to keep the small TV and the phone line there. So we are just about all done with that. Banking, we have switched over to the money market accounts for most of our secondary accounts, non-operating accounts. So we're going to be earning the higher rate of interest. Once I have the cash balances, again, after tax day, I'll send those out. We'll start to see those going through. For December, I was hoping to have it tonight, but I didn't. Insurance will be going up, not a huge shock. There's three parts to it. There's the unemployment, auto rolled in, and I forget the other pieces. But two of the three are going up, so the net is going to be an increase. So hopefully by December, I think it said by December 15th, the bills will be out. So once I have those, we can discuss, where it is. I know we budgeted an increase, so we'll be able to see if it's within that.
And then we can work on the amount that goes over to the
offset to the water. I think that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Yes, not that you don't have enough to do, but the grant submission that for Norm's culvert project that was just awaiting that one copy of the BCRC invoice, did you get that?
I have not looked. I will make sure I get that looked at.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
And then we just got the reimbursement for the pre-disaster mitigation planning grant. That was that was a 80% match that we got back on that one. We were billed very late for that, but it still was honored and we got that. So thank you. That's my only question.
And I think that was it.
Okay. Wow, we're pretty much on time. At this point, I would like to invite Kim Hall, who is co-chair and author, I should say, of the revised, updated planning or zoning or bylaw that the Planning Commission has been tackling. And Kim has some comprehensive discussion and update for all of you and for the public. If anyone
Did that
needs
get emailed to the trustees?
it did,
Do you have it?
and here it is. Kim is gonna share his screen.
But what I'm thinking is, because Tara's already logged in,
Oh.
so if she has it, if Kim wants her, we can share her screen. If that works, Kim?
That was one of the things that you sent on the big.
Yes, and I have copies, I have a couple of copies here if somebody did not get it.
You just have the 6 slides, right?
Hold on.
We're working on it right now. As long as we
I
can
gotta
pull it
find it.
right up,
Is,
then we'll.
is this the fresh start? template?
What is it called?
This is the land use regulation update. That was one of the,
Right.
what was it, 9, I
Thank you.
think, attachments?
That's
Land
it
use
right there.
regulation?
Yes.
So if you click
Okay.
on your, I think I left it, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, hold on. Share content? Screen.
So you can watch, you can
I
continue to
can-
watch
yeah.
that, because I've got.
I can give you my computer to play with.
That's okay, because I have 2 files open. I have the slides, there's 6 slides,
Okay, so
you
you're
can walk
going-
through it. And then on the other half of the screen, I have the document itself.
Oh, the document, okay.
It's got puppies.
Yes. Now you should see slides.
There you go.
Yes, okay.
Okay, there.
Ray, do you have your, just
I'm
your,
not on the, I just have the land use regulations.
Okay.
update.
Again, if there is another copy here, should anyone wish to take it.
So Kim, you
have that.
And I have that.
Okay.
send it down
on
or
my
tell me if you
computer.
want me to.
Yeah, that'd be
I just wasn't sure if anybody would be here and we could, okay.
okay, so it's being shared.
Okay,
We're good.
Kim,
Okay, so this is an update from what we've already presented to you a number of months ago, which I think was only a 5-minute
yeah,
segment. In this case, we are near the end of the text writing process for the new what we're calling the land use regulations. It used to be called the zoning bylaws, but there are a number of bylaws in there. The purposes we've explained previously, and we'll go through that again, but it's statute driven. And then what we wanted to accomplish, we've been working at this for over a year. And then what we've decided along the way as changes to the document. We'll go through that briefly. And then we'll look at the table of contents of the document so you can see what those highlights might be. And then there are next steps, because this is all in draft form. We can go to the next slide then.
I'll let you know. Yep. No, it's center.
So we're required by statute to update the village plan. I think it's every 7 years, so it's coming up in 2026. The zoning regulations need to support the village plan. So it's a kind of a chicken and egg, because we spend all this time writing the bylaws, then we spend all this time writing the plan, and we go back to the bylaws and so forth. We got well along in this process, and the state passed a new regulation called the Home Act, or Act 47. And it took effect a couple of weeks after they passed it, long before they even had updated their website to, or answered questions or anything else. The act was in place, and Chris is required to have that in force as of July 1st of this year. So we had to go back through the process again and accommodate this Home Act, which was pretty extensive. So that was one of the things that was driving our work. Additionally, the document that we were working with, the existing document, was difficult to negotiate for people. It's the product of copy and paste, and people have gotten through that for a while, but it's really quite out of order and it needed work. So we literally took almost every paragraph apart and said, where does it belong? Put it in new chapters and added chapters. When we talk about the table of contents, you'll see why this document has grown from 120 pages or something like that to over 200. Because we really needed to cover, one of the things was to cover parts of regulations that the state statute requires us to regulate that were not in the document. Subdivisions and plan unit developments and so forth were really given very short shrift in the document. Lastly, we are required, the Planning Commission is required to report annually to you, and this section will serve that purpose. Next slide. What we wanted to do, obviously, was improve the document's clarity, its relevance, and to make it easier for applicants to negotiate, understand. We wanted to map out the permit processes such that people would know in advance exactly what they needed to do and what they would be reviewed upon. We're also taking the first steps towards an updated village plan. And the Planning Commission certainly has recognized that housing, which was a state initiative, is also a local initiative. We need increased housing opportunities for our workforce and for those of us who are retired, who want to downsize. So we needed to support those efforts across the village. Of course, in the back of our mind, we needed to preserve the village's charm, beauty, and shared sense of community. And we want to make sure that economic development is supported as well. We noticed that obviously the gas station is gone, and now an architecture firm has just left to go to Bennington. We need to be able to provide housing for people locally and support the efforts of our retailers. We also need to address the fee schedule. Right now, I think maybe unique across Vermont, because I haven't found anyone else who does this. We ask the applicant to estimate the cost of their project, and we base our fees on that. Everyone else asks what you're building and what process of review you're going to go through, and then they have factual basis upon which to base their fees. And that's fair, I think, because somebody's going to come in and the tendency is to estimate their project very low. And we've certainly seen those in the past year. And that's not fair to the people who accurately report that information. So those were our aims. The highlights of what we've done, what we've changed. Well, we've revamped the organization of the regulations entirely. We've added new chapters. And as I said, we'll go through the table of contents quickly. We've also introduced process checklists. My screen isn't being shared, but we have those checklists, and they're organized based on what type of permit you're going after. And then it lists the steps that you may encounter along the way. In the case of a simple application, there are only a few steps that you need to go through. But if you're building a subdivision, or you're building a planned unit development or something like that, it gets much more complicated, and the number of review meetings and the steps along the way are extensive. And this provides a checklist, so when Chris first encounters the applicant, you can go through and simply check off those things which are anticipated. And then there's a second column which says, okay, that's been done. And both the applicant and Chris can follow along and make sure that that's all predictable to the applicant. Act 47, as I mentioned, the Home Act has changed a lot. In typical zoning approach, you have high density at the village center, and then they call them transects. The transects go out from that, and you reduce density of housing units along the way. That is, you associate one housing unit with more land as you get further from the town center. And so therefore, you get a natural organization to a village. You also have all the expense of the municipal infrastructure in a small area, and where people have sufficient land such that they can dig a well and have a leach field or their waste, it's a natural progression. The Home Act says if you are supplied with town water and you have sewer access to a sewer line, then the density will be the same as the village center. So it really is quite a radical change. Instead of the radial approach, you start out with what the municipal infrastructure is, where that is. And even if it's not serving a parcel, if it can easily serve a parcel, then the density is very high. And they want the density high in the state because they want more housing. So the village character will change over time with this. Additionally, there are things called accessory dwelling units, which are now permitted. If you are an owner of a house and you have land available, or you can expand your house to accommodate an in-law unit, we'll call it for the want of another term, you can do that. In fact, it's encouraged. And so there are very few restrictions that zoning can place on that. So where people may have garages in their backyard now, if they want to revamp them and turn them into rental units, so be it. It's available to them. So that's another thrust of the state to try to add housing. We have, before that act came into enactment, we looked at ways that we could encourage the type of development that we wanted for the village. And so we came up with a subset of planned unit developments. Planned unit developments, I should explain to those who don't know, it's taking land, subdividing it into parcels, and then locating dwelling units on there. It's what developers do. In this case, what we were trying to direct was developments of smaller homes in clusters with circulation on the periphery and common space between them, and encouraging the development of, in that common space, common use activities, either a shared use building a dog park, community gardens, fire pits, anything to make this a neighborhood rather than individual houses along the street. And so we tried to pave the way, giving that particular type of development less reviews and encouraging it. So combined with the requirements of the Home Act, I think over time, the potential is there for a lot more housing opportunities in the town, in the village. We have fleshed out the subdivision and plan unit development rules and regulations so that we get what we want, the types of streets, trees, and so forth, sidewalks, paths that link with town paths and so forth. Wireless communication facilities, we have the one tower that's on the college campus. We really don't want to see a proliferation of those on the planning commission. I don't know how the trustees feel about that, but we have added bumps in the road, really, which will be challenged towards additional towers going up in the village. We're putting the responsibility, because we cannot regulate wireless communication facilities. It's not allowed. The FCC has told us you can't touch this, and the state has said the same thing with their Public Utilities Commission. What we can do, because we're a zoning authority, is regulate the property owner who's leasing their land for that purpose. And so we put the entire onus of such developments on them, requiring them to give us a notification form in advance, requiring them to acknowledge all those aspects that we think are detrimental to the village, and to tell them that their land is going to be reassessed by the town assessor. I mean, we're not making it pleasant to go out and lease your land to Verizon. I think at this point, although I can't share the screen, I might turn the computer around and just show you the table of contents. We've added a new chapter at the beginning, which is an introduction to the document. It gives an example of a process, what you would go through, and tells you exactly where you're going to find information within the document. So it's wholly new. When 100 pages are added, I kind of scratched my head and said, where did it all come from? Well, we added a new chapter here. That was part of it. Additionally, we have some chapters for our legal authorization to work on the document. And then we expanded definitions. Can we do it now? Let me share.
Are you
So
online?
is this a document that will be like disseminated eventually?
Yes.
Okay, so if someone wants to look at it, they can certainly ask.
Yes, and we
Yes.
can also.
And anyone who wants a copy.
Right, and we will have this out on the website. There is a whole process for public review.
And we'll get to
So
that in a minute.
You can show us, but
Sure.
Yeah,
certainly
okay.
it'll be publicized
Yes.
in the future anyway.
Did you see the new sign?
So we've expanded administration and enforcement, and this again is to try to alert anyone who's going through the process exactly what the process is. We have segregated into general administration requirements, permitting processes, development review board procedures, subdivision procedures, and plan unit development procedures, because those are all complex. And then appeals and enforcement. Then we go to general regulations, and we clarify these so that they're site and related regulations. Everything exterior to buildings, and then dwelling and related regulations. And these are all sort of general across all districts. Then we get into districts, and districts we've covered in tabular form, and I'm going to go to those so you can start to see what I'm talking about.
Since the public can't see it, do you want to just kind of verbally sum it up?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
So we introduce what the purpose of each district is, and the districts are mapped out. There are maps with colored areas, and these are essentially legacy districts because zoning previously organized the village around lower and lower densities as you move away from the village center. And then a big portion, well, two big portions, apart from these sort of transects, are the educational campus of Bennington College, of which about half of the college, or more than half, is in the town, in the village of North Bennington. And the other is the conservation area, which is a district unto itself. But we have tried to organize the uses and listed many, many more uses than were previously addressed by the regulations. So I don't know, we may have 100 uses listed, everything from a gas station and post office to adult daycare to group homes to public schools to private schools to contractors' yards and service buildings. I mean, we're extensive in our listing of uses. And associated with each use in each district, we're saying what type of review, if it's permitted, what type of review will be. And then those reviews, we have added a separate chapter if there is a site plan review or a conditional use review. We tell you exactly what categories of that review will be, so that nothing will appear arbitrary to an applicant. And then there are a host of footnotes associated with these particular uses. Some very often related back to statute, where we're following a particular statute requirement. So those are the big changes. The overlay districts, which are those areas of the village which are addressed as historical or shoreline areas or flood hazard areas. That portion of the document is very similar, almost identical to what it is currently. We've really been trying to leave that in place and work on the rest of the document, since the historic aspects of the document were fine and are solid and good directions to follow. So work yet to do. With the text largely done, oh, I'm running over. With the text largely done, we have maps to do.
Next steps.
And we have many forms that are required to get through the process, to make it clear for both the zoning administrator how he's going to work for a particular review. And so Chris and I are starting that work now to create those forms. Mary is working on the fee schedule, so that it's more in line with what Shasbury does, or Bennington, or any other village of our size. Once that, those few items are done, we're going to take the document and give it to the trustees. And it becomes your responsibility by statute to go further with it. You can tell us to revise it, or you can tell us that you're going to go forward with a public presentation. And so there's the trustee review and revisions potentially, trustee to the public presentation, and then maybe some changes. Then it will be your job to adopt the document. Once adoption has taken place, it's not enacted. It's not effective. It's just adopted. It then goes to BCRC, and BCRC will take it to the state. There may be revisions, and we may have some changes due to that. And then we put the effective date upon it and publish. So those are the steps ahead. And I'm finished a minute early.
Oh, wow. So first of all, for those of you who do not know, this would never have been done without the hard work by several members of this committee. And Mr. Hall has single-handedly volunteered to do all of the typing and revision. And for somebody like me, who's a lay person, kind of being the note taker of the group, seeing now how things are organized, seeing charts and flow charts of things and tabular forms of things, it as a person who knows not a whole lot about this, you can open this document and say, I'm thinking about doing X, and you can pretty easily find your way into whatever that X is. We always would recommend with any project now or in the future that any prospective project be just a quick call to the zoning administrator, because it is a lot to get through, even if it's logically organized. Huge thanks to Kim and the rest of the committee for everything that they've done here. We'll get this out on the website when we can. We will, as trustees, we'll discuss how to have a separate special meeting, invite the public in. I think the public needs to have some time to digest this. We have offered it to realtors and engineering companies for their review, since they may be users of the document at some point and are awaiting some responses back to see what they have to say. So.
And BCRC has seen
They
the document.
thank you
along
for
the way.
that. Yes. So,
Phenomenal work, Kim. Thank you so much.
I have a couple of questions. Could you, we're talking about the Home Act, Act 47, and specifically discussing how it dealt with housing. Were there any other provisions of that act that we should know about that are worth highlighting?
I don't think so. There are other changes associated with the act, but everything really, I mean, the primary thrust of it was housing and accessory dwelling units and the density of housing units.
Okay.
So multifamily housing really cannot be regulated in the same way as it was in the past. And affordable housing.
In other words, zoned out? Is that what you were
Yeah,
meaning?
Yes, You
Okay.
can't zone based on the number of units because it's the number of units per acre now.
Okay.
And so, and especially if it's affordable housing, then the density goes up and the height of the building goes up by a story. And objections by, there's a particular appeal that is now off the table. And that's the appeal by a group of 10 interested parties gathering together as a unit and having a spokesman. You cannot object to affordable housing based on character of the village changing.
What does this mean for like the conservation district where we have things that are protected by the fund for North Bennington?
If the area is not being utilized, I mean, there's nothing that would prevent someone who had the legal authority to develop that land.
Okay, so the fund for North Bennington has a lot of land there, but like I have 19 acres that I own, but it's in the conservation district. Are there limits to the housing that I can put on my property based on the conservation rules that we have in place?
Yes, because as far as I'm aware, do you have water service and sewer service there?
Yes.
Oh, well, then
That answers that.
that answers that.
Yeah.
So no one is forced
Mhm.
to make that change, but if the infrastructure is there or is possible to be there, that's what the state is looking for. It's
Okay.
looking
I
for
was
the
just
opportunity
curious.
for
I
housing.
was curious who trumped who in that, like if conservation, like
No.
that whole area is very farmland, right? Whether that was restricted or like if my next door neighbor wanted to put 3 condos up because he has 45 acres, you know.
The answer is that if the infrastructure is there, we cannot restrict
Okay.
the dwelling unit density.
Okay, just curious.
Except for covenant.
Oh, we got that too.
Except for what?
Covenants.
The state isn't gonna usurp any sort of long-term protections of it.
Sorry, say that again?
So if there are covenants on the properties that restrict certain developments, the state's not, they can't usurp that.
Okay. That's kind of the question I was getting at. Thank you.
Right? I mean, these laws are related to pieces of land that are, still open. But if there are long-term conservation easements or whatever, that's, in my understanding, and I hope it's correct, they can't allow someone to violate, a deed restriction.
Okay. No, that was kind of what I was wondering, if it could be kind of steamrolled over anything like that.
No.
Okay.
I mean, if that's the case, then the Vermont Land Trust ought to be pretty concerned.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, this might be.
Well, that was a comprehensive but concise summary of what's been done and where progress stands. I'm sure there could be questions both from trustees and the public. Just know that anybody can ask a question at any time, and this process has copious opportunities for public input, and we hope that there is.
I mean, every meeting is open.
Yes,
Every meeting of the planning commission
we
is
hope
published
that
and
there
open.
is. And as soon as there is a final draft document, it will go out on the website.
Okay.
Anything else for Kim at the
I
moment?
just wanted to applaud his presentation. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay.
excellent,
Excellent.
and thank you.
Thank you.
Kim.
All right, so we have a few more minutes, and I know this is a long meeting, but we do have a few more things to talk about here. We had two citizen complaints recently, and I think it's important that our residents know that they can bring issues to the board's attention, and that legitimate issues will be given as prompt as we can attention. One of the issues, without any specifics, just dealt with cannabis growing in the village here. And statute permits individuals, a dwelling unit, to have 2 mature plants and 4 immature plants per dwelling unit. Doesn't matter how many people live there, but it's done that way. So that is something that people can do. We cannot regulate who is growing what in their backyard. Well, who is growing in their backyard is one thing. There is nothing in the statute that allows or that specifies how that will be enforced. So if someone is growing 6 plants instead of 2, a complaint can be made to Bennington PD to say, I think my neighbor is growing more than they are allowed to do. The trustees cannot enter anyone's property, nor can the Bennington PD or any other police department. But what a municipality can do, and I did send this guidance for municipalities, which is what Vermont League of Cities and Towns recommends that we use. And I would just bring your attention to, again, not to be decided at this meeting, but just to be thought of. On page 5, it talks about, well, previous to this, there are different licenses and types of licenses that cannabis businesses can have. Oh, thank you. A retail license is one of them. A municipality has the ability to opt in or opt out as to whether these retailing licenses are allowed. You can opt in at any time, but to opt out, to have a retail establishment in your municipality, that is a public vote. So I'm just thinking that based on hearing a number of citizen comments, that we may want to read this, research this, talk to VLCT attorneys or whomever, or other municipalities, and perhaps put an opt-out vote on our annual meeting agenda. Opt-out just means that that the village would then not have a retail establishment anywhere in the village for that purpose. It doesn't say anything about the other types of licenses, not a growing or a processing, or there are several other type of things, lab testings and wholesaling and things like that. But retail storefronts can be, just leaving that up to you. And then it also provides under section D on page 6 that a zoning regulations can say where these the permitted places can be. You can opt out of retail, but the other areas like a growing operation, you can restrict them to certain zoning spots within your village. So in other words, you can say that you can have a growing operation anywhere except the village center, or other types of, or another type of area that might have much more density. Just something to think about. I have asked Kim to include this, the non-retail uses, in the long schedule of uses and where it might be permitted in the village. So we'll see that, but just food for thought. Consider this. I'd like to take it up again in perhaps December or January and see whether we want to allow the public to decide whether we opt in or whether we opt out for having storefront cannabis sales in our.
And that has to be a secret ballot.
It doesn't say that,
Doesn't say.
it doesn't say that at all. I think we need to find out, if we choose to have such a vote, how that vote is taken. Bringing that to your attention.
Okay.
We'll take public input at any time on that. The second issue came up, which I would just read the statement, that there was improper use, there was private use encroaching on land belonging to the water department. I did send the response to all of you. I think I would just simply say for this meeting, it can be included in the minutes if Lori believes that that is appropriate, but the water department looked into this. They walked the property. The area of concern has not been infringed on. There was a survey done many, many years ago, about 10 years ago. Nothing has been altered then. The person who was concerned about this had a map on an app. The map was incorrect, is the bottom line of this.
Interesting.
So, if
Okay.
anyone in the public wishes to have additional detail on that matter, just let us know and we can inform you of such, but that is not a problem. It was looked into thoroughly.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yes, and we thank the public when there is something that should be looked into, that people bring things to attention. That's how you find problems and fix problems, or nip rumors or something in the bud. The next thing I did want to talk about, and I put this in your packets too, is thinking about the upcoming budget season and our annual meeting, and getting ahead of this so that Lori isn't scrambling in the end of the first week of January or whenever it is, Lori, that you need this, that we have all of our documents together, especially our budget. And I also want to point out that my term is up in March. Scott, your term is up in March. I would truly like to find a way to encourage more participation. I'm not certain I will do this again. It's a huge undertaking, but I would like to have an opportunity for members of our community who might be interested or just wondering what all is involved, to have some kind of a meet and greet or a discussion of some sort, or just sit down with somebody over coffee. If people would like to know what is involved in being a trustee, we should all be available maybe to help people with those questions. But those are coming up. And if we wait until January to think about it, it might just be too late. So I'd like to start thinking now. Budget especially. So nobody wants more meetings. Trust me, I don't want more meetings. But the only way to do these things is with in a publicly warned meeting, and hopefully people will come and take part in this. So I've laid out a series of 4 meetings, 3 weeks in December and 1 in the first week in January. Or the first week in January would be the trustee meeting. But December 5th, December 12th, which is the regular trustee meeting, just to follow up on questions from the previous one, December 19th and January 9th. What do you think about having a formalized budget process with open meetings and encouraging more participation, and doing some detailed deep dive research into some of the things that we may want to budget for? As a small example, Doug, who has nothing else to do, has volunteered to look into what type of municipal agreements or contracts exist with, I'll call it e-service companies. People that will come in and help, well, provide web services or emails, help set up emails and monitor those type of things. We have a treasurer at email. We have an info at Village of North Bennington email. Doug's going to look into getting a highway at Village North Bennington, so that whoever is the office holder will have the same email and the public will have the same way of doing this. But somebody needs to help us with this. It would be nice if maybe we thought about, or to me, it would be nice if we had a professional service doing our web management. Right now, it's Chris or Lori or me or somebody sending an email saying, please put this out there. But I'm thinking there must be a way to do it better than that. And I just don't know. So these are the type of things that I'm wrestling with, thinking, how can we do things a little bit better, a little bit more comprehensively, and how can we really look at all the different things that we should be budgeting for and the contingencies that we might need with them. And then asking everyone, all the organizations for whom we provide funds, even if it's 500, come tell the public who you are. What does your group do? How does it impact the village? Maybe more is needed. Maybe they don't even do the things they used to do before. I don't know. We don't really hear from some people. So just my thoughts. What do you think?
Well, you laid out a very orderly process, and I think the opening the process up to grantees that we typically have is good. We've done that this past year, basically around the ARPA money, but for other things as well. No Boss was not ARPA money. And I think that's all to the good, because it gives the community a chance to input on things that affect quality of life here and make us unique as a village, given the amount of things that get done in this village by small nonprofits and other people than employees of the village. It's important to do. The website, since I don't use it, I'm not too, I don't know really what's there and what's not there and what could be done better with it. But certainly it's an access to the village, and it had, does it have our charter on it? I think
Yes.
I found that on
Yes.
the Fund for North Bennington site when I looked it up,
But the Fund for North
stuff like
Bennington
that.
is going to be, we are going to be pulling things off the Fund for North Bennington and putting them, having just a link or a direction to
Yeah,
the village site,
yeah,
because,
that makes sense that we have our own
Yeah.
specifics that are directly related to our legal
Yeah.
authorities and so forth, and our rules and regulations.
Alright.
yes,
I don't know whether we will have one or not, but Tuesday, December 19th is probably a conflict with the DRB, if we have a DRB meeting.
I'm gonna do my utmost best not to have a meeting.
Yeah,
I don't see
if that's the
anything
case,
on-
then we have a
Okay.
double booking, or at least I have a double booking.
and if need be, we can do a meeting that does not have to be at 7:00.
Okay.
And again, trust me, I don't like more meetings, but you cannot do all of this stuff in a 1 hour or a 2 hour trustee meeting with the other business.
No, I totally agree with you.
Until the 19th, so I don't, gonna try not.
Okay,
We can try.
Yeah, and,
But-
I appreciate that it's not going to occur mostly in January when I have school budget issues, and Doug does too.
well,
And
I don't
I'm
think it
gone for a
can,
week. I
because,
usually
yeah, I
miss-
don't think it can. Lori, when do you have to have everything for your book?
It's mid-January at the latest.
Right.
Yeah, so we have to have this decided by the January 9th regular trustee meeting.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that we have intruded on that process before. I'm just glad it is before. That's all I'm saying, is
Oh,
expressing
no,
my, I have certain other things to do, and it's good that this will finish up before those really get.
totally get it.
going.
And I guess had I started thinking about this 2 months ago, we might have even started something this month, but
Is January 9th our regular? That's
Yes,
a
it
regular
is.
meeting.
yes,
So
it is.
That would happen anyway.
Yeah. And we have to have this thing done by then. And, Lori patiently sends out reminder after reminder
Yeah.
to get things done. And we do need time to get a draft back and have it
I
reviewed.
think, I hadn't seen this.
I didn't send this to you?
I don't think so. Maybe it was in one of the attachments that I
Yeah, it
didn't
was
look
in
at.
one of
Was.
the.
It was
Okay, so
in
that's
the
my fault
attachment, yes.
My only suggestion is, again, that 19th, I mean, that's Christmas week. I mean, maybe we can try to double that up the week before, because that's leading in, I mean, Christmas is the following Monday, but the week of the 19th, you're really leading into Christmas. And I know people have a lot of things going on, so I'm wondering if maybe we move that.
Especially since everyone's being called in to speak at that one.
So maybe we could do a part of, split it and maybe do early prior to our monthly meeting.
Okay,
And then
Okay.
maybe a Thursday for if, you know what I'm saying?
okay,
do
so
like-
maybe we could start an hour early and.
Or even an hour and a half, I mean.
Most people here, other than, people, pardon me, who have a lot to say, we're looking at 5 to 10 minutes, and that's it. So you can get a lot of people in an hour or so. Yes, if people don't mind, maybe closer to a 3-hour meeting in December on the 12th, then we'll do that.
But you could do a break, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You could run,
Yeah.
you could run this until say 6:30, maybe 5 to 6:30.
okay,
I'm just suggesting, I don't know what everybody's schedule is.
I may not be able to go that early.
well, and Matthew travels too, but we could do a 6 to 7. Or 6 to 6:45, have a 15-minute break, and then
I just don't like the week, that 19th, that's all.
the 19th, okay.
Well, there you go,
I'm
Chris. Now we can have a different meeting.
I'm totally open to everybody else's thing. It was just a way to start a discussion.
Who knows?
So we
Maybe
could-
the regular
So
monthly meeting
what
will
would you
have-
do with this meeting on the 19th?
We would,
Parcel it out to the
Would-
previous 2 meetings?
I think, yeah,
Okay.
I think I really thought we could get all of this done in 1 hour anyway. So if we did a 6 to 7 or a 6 to 6:45,
Keep it.
we could do that.
Just make it work.
I think
We don't
that-
need to make,
well,
no, no,
let's
no,
see.
I'm not saying
give
on
them all
December
5
19th.
minutes, they don't need more.
Put it in, do an early
That's
start.
11 different possible speakers, or maybe more.
11 times 5 is 50.
Okay, but
Is how
some,
much?
55.
some people are not gonna
Yeah, but
say
it's not
much.
gonna be, it's not all that cut and dry. Like
No. And that is I mean, we've never asked some of these people to come and
Right, and
do anything.
I do think that if we present our requirements, as you did in this
Yeah,
to them in advance and say, please construct what you have to say with notes and try it so that we stick to 5 minutes. So that there's at least a little time for questions from the board.
We can run this like a Senate.
But,
The
sorry.
speaker has 5 minutes, go.
okay. So why don't we try
But,
to,
but I know that's the idea to limit it, but you get better presentations if you force everybody to think about it, put it down, try it out, make, just as, we don't want to listen to floundering around.
Mhm.
We'd like to hear cogent, quick, short presentation and provide us your documents in advance.
I'll
Okay.
set a timer for
Okay.
everyone.
okay, we can do that. We can do that. So we could do a 6 to 7 PM meeting on Tuesday, December 12th. The trustee meeting would start then, trustee business could start at 7:15. If people need a break, I don't know, or we just keep going.
I mean, at least a bathroom break.
Okay, I guess that's true.
And
So
then I
we
was
could
thinking, I
do
mean,
that.
because then your alternate, I mean, that Thursday, you could have as an alternate day, if that works for folks.
Well, that's true too.
Because I wasn't trying to say to shove the entire 19th to the 12th. That wasn't my
Right.
intent.
I mean, you could,
Well-
you could break it up. a
So
little.
we
Or
could,
even the 7th. I mean,
yeah,
I'm just
Okay.
thinking,
How early do you know how busy a meeting is gonna be? Because if we have an agenda for the 12th and it looks like we're going wall to wall, then we could just
Well-
change to the,
I think December's meeting could have a few things in there,
okay, you already are anticipating that?
yes.
All right.
Well, we are gonna talk about the ordinance.
Yeah.
And that I expect to have public here commenting pro and con. And hopefully we'll have some discussion on that. So I do expect that
That's
to
the
be,
firearm one.
yes, I do expect to hear that. Well, wait a minute, Norm said he needs to, yeah,
Yeah. I think the December 5th one is gonna have to be limited to what's on there.
okay,
oh, I agree. I think, and the 5th is the most important one.
yeah,
Yeah,
And then-
it's the biggest part of the
Right.
budget.
Right, and that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
right, leave the 5th the way it is without
Right.
question.
and then I was
But-
thinking that there would be some questions that come up on the 5th, maybe needing additional research. What about this, or what about that, what's the alternative, A, B, or C? And those would be followed up on our December 12th meeting. So I would think that December 12th is gonna take, I'm guessing, maybe even a half an hour to answer any questions that needed to go up here. I like your idea, Doug, about on December 12th, if we need to, what's the term, when you continue it? Continue that until the 14th.
Continuation.
Yes. So that is possible.
That would make sense. And possibly, do you think we could get some of these groups in? No.
I think so. I think
On,
if we,
on the 14th.
Right,
Yes.
that was what I was, right,
Yes.
if you,
Pretty much that would be what
Right.
you were looking to do.
and then we could keep to the regular 2-hour meeting
Yeah,
on the 12th instead of going into
right,
an extended meeting.
yeah,
but you may have people that can't do the 14th, so you could offer, you could say limited time available on the 12th.
That's a
come,
good
first
idea.
serve,
right.
Yes, I
Mhm.
like that idea.
And then
Thank
the
you.
14th
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good idea, Doug. That's a really good idea.
5 minutes.
And then we'll bag the December
Yes,
19th
the
one
December
altogether.
19th is off the table.
Okay.
Yeah, if that works.
No,
I think this is an excellent schedule.
yeah.
Okay.
It's been well thought out, but I hope somebody sends me all the, all the dates, because.
I'll redo this. I'll redo it and send it out again. And what I will do though, before I send it out, I'll take Ray's suggestion and contact everyone here on the other organization list where I have a contact and just send them an email saying this is what we would like, send us,
Right,
Can
and
you-
then invite them to ask questions of you if they have any.
good
To
idea.
make sure
Yes.
they're clear about what
Yes.
we're asking.
Yes, because we haven't done this.
Yeah,
to this
and-
degree
and,
before.
I just know that these presentations get longer than they need to be because
Yeah.
they're not, the person presenting hasn't, they figure they can wing it, and I don't want them to wing it.
Okay,
Ray, I will be the majority whip.
there you go.
And
But also,
It's
if
just for efficiency for us, and
they also
Oh, no,
might
I'm on it,
be, if
man.
they don't know that there's a specific time limit, they might think, oh, they want me to talk for 15
Yes.
minutes,
no,
and then they're trying to,
Nope, 5-minute timer.
Yeah.
Now,
I think
And-
that's.
all right, so
they can get their points concise, and they
Yeah.
provide us information in advance so we can look at it. So we don't need to ask questions about that,
Okay.
hopefully.
You don't need more information than 5 minutes
Yeah.
to other.
That's it, because
okay,
it's not like we need to know their whole operation.
and especially if we have information in advance, good. I will make those things, it won't be this next week, I'm not around, but I'll do it as soon as I can thereafter.
Yeah, I think it ought to be really productive that way.
Okay,
And
all right.
that's what
so
want.
we'll do it on the 12th. We may, depending on what people say, we may have to add a little bit of time to the December 12th meeting, but then we can continue it to the 14th. Okay.
And the 5th is still on.
The 5th is on.
Great.
And the other ones are, okay, last thing, I know we're over time, but this is really important. A couple of you have gone upstairs and seen what work has been done on the records retention and the records management. I was going to try and walk you through some of these documents that I sent out in some detail. But let me just try to be as brief as I can. The first 3 pages of the document that I sent, the records management and retention plan. This is the policy.
Which one is this?
This is the record-
Village of North Bennington Records Management? Okay, I
Yes,
got it.
please.
Yep.
And there is an extra copy of it here.
No,
should
I had
anybody-
it up on my computer.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So there was a lot of work put in between Tom Fells, the state archivist and her, excuse me, and her assistant came. We spent an entire day going through a lot of stuff. Several of you have gone upstairs and you can see there's 4 tables separated with just a first sort of what we pulled out of bins and boxes, et cetera. There's a lot more work to be done, a lot more.
Yeah.
But we have to have, we should have this policy that says how we are going to deal with our records. This policy basically says that we are going to follow the uniform laws, standards, and procedures of the state with regards to all of the municipal records that we have. We have the guidelines, again, that is set by the state as to whether we keep them, destroy them, when we do it, whether they're permanent records or not. Most of our records upon audit can be shredded, destroyed, thrown away, whatever we wish. But I'm going to suggest, at least for a while, that our practice, not our policy, says we keep them a little bit longer. This policy that I'm looking for a motion and an approval of this policy tonight simply says that as of today, we approve this procedure. And this procedure is that every September, and I picked September because that's when a fiscal year ends and it gives people a chance to look through this. We go through and we refile, we review, we dispose, we do whatever we need to do to those documents that we will then list on the last segment of this, which is the spreadsheet of the specific records that we have. This spreadsheet of the specific records is the record retention plan. This says what records we have. I put a lot of things on here that I'm not sure we have them all, but I think it's a pretty good view of what I think we have and what we probably ought to have. This schedule set, this plan here says which of the guidances, they're called GRSs, that we're following. What is the minimum retention of the specific document under that? And then what we are going to do as a village. Are we going to follow the guidance? Are we going to keep something a little bit longer perhaps? And that's in some of these things I have. But this is the first step to a months-long process that we're going to have to go through. I did send you one sample of a GRS. Most of them, there's probably going to be 8 or 10 of them, I think, that are going to apply to our village. It starts out, every one of these GRSs basically is similar on its first page. It just says what the authority is to do that type of things. Then it goes into the specific type of records, and it shows, it gives a brief description and what value, not monetary value, but what archival value there is. And then it talks about the minimum distribution or the minimum retention. Every one of these guidances then has Appendix A through E. A through D are the same in all of the guidances. They basically are a dictionary, for lack of a better term. It just describes what they are.
What are you referring to by guidance? That column with the GRS?
The GRS is the document,
Okay.
and then each GRS has the same layout. It starts, I gave you an example of one, a GRS 1000.1002, accounting records. Every GRS starts out with telling you the first page, what's the authority, where the rules and regulations can be found in statute. Every GRS then lists specific to that type of thing, accounting record, what types of accounting records, for instance, audits, correspondence, inventories, invoices, ledgers, et cetera, et cetera. Every GRS contains appendixes A through E. Appendixes A and B just describe, it's a dictionary, it's a better description of what it tells you under the previous page. The important thing here, well, they're all important, but the important thing on each of these is Appendix E. And that tells you if there was a public records request whether for that particular record, you need to review the documents for anything that must be exempted or redacted. You want to stick a pen in your eye if you want to go and read all this stuff. It's exhausting, but I'm reading it. So if you have questions, go for it. Otherwise,
I will make a motion to adopt this policy.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Same.
Aye. It is now 9:13.
You
We are-
put this together, Mary?
I did.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, really.
Well, I had a lot of help.
Yeah.
If anybody says that government people aren't helpful, I will tell you the folks that I have dealt with have been
Yeah, they are.
remarkable.
That's
Remarkable.
Vermont, though.
Yeah,
That's true.
but they are.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to say is Ray has seen this and Scott has seen this. If anybody wants to, we have about 20, 25 big boxes that are now down in the lower level as you go up to the zoning office. They are all been approved by the state archivist to shred. The shredding truck is coming here on the, what did I say, the 16th?
18th?
No, the 16th.
16th, okay.
I put it down here now, I can't see it.
Mary, I think you said the 15th.
The 15th, I did, thank you. It's
The 15th,
Wednesday.
okay.
It's Wednesday, the 15th. They're coming.
16th is the energy
Yes.
audit.
They're
Yeah, right.
Wednesday, the 15th.
Yeah.
They're going to give me a half an hour notice before they come here. But I'm letting you know because if any of you have things in your basements or attics or whatever that you know by looking at this schedule
Wow.
on the policy that we just adopted, if you want them shredded, let us know. We will get them shredded. We are going to probably have, I would say at least 3, probably 4.
What happened?
I
But
don't know.
if you have anything that you want, bring it over to the depot or let us know, and I'll come get it from you and put it in my car and bring it over. But
That's the 15th.
shredding shall begin.
It's a week from tomorrow.
Yes,
Mary,
yes.
I know everyone wants to go home, but I have a 2-minute executive session. Please.
Yes, yes, and this is executive session, hold on, let me read the right language that we have to say.
It's a personal matter that cannot otherwise. be
Yes,
said
it's a
in
personal matter that would cause stress or harm to an individual or to the board. So
It has to be conducted in
it needs to be
executive session.
discussed in executive session.
We really gotta get that done.
And is it a legal or a personnel matter? Can you, I think we should. state
I
that.
believe, I would say it's personnel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Oh,
so.
And, I'm expecting, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, that no motions will need to be made as we
That's
exit.
correct. No.
So we will go into a brief executive session, or
I'll make a motion
you'll make the motion?
to go into
To
an executive session
section?
because we are talking about a
Yes.
personnel issue that cannot be
Yes.
otherwise.
Yes,
talked
and I will second that motion. We will call the question, all in favor, aye. When we exit the session, there is no motion to exit. We will simply exit the session and we will take a motion to dismiss.